What's good, everybody? We're back with another episode of World 1-1 Podcast. Before we get into the usual meat and taters, you can and should find us at all the awesome places that we are, like our home at Podbean. That's world11.podbean.com, all spelled out, all one word. You should also follow us on our Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/World11 Podcast, all spelled out, especially since once we get to 200 followers, we've got that sweet collector's edition of Blasphemous on the Switch that we're giving away from Limited Run Games. Hot diggity damn. You should also check out all the fun stuff that we've got going over on the YouTube channel as well, where you can find cool shit like unboxing videos of all the neat random crap from our collections that we pick up, from time to time. Let's see. We've also got one of those Twitter things, World1_1 podcast on Twitter. Yeah, and then there's a Facebook page too, so that exists. But all the bullshit out of the way. I am, as always, your host, Larry the Bearded Wonder. Joining me this evening is our favorite portly postman, Josh the LeGrew.
Hey, what's up?
Everybody's favorite consumer whore, Michael Brown. Is that a cookie?
Maybe.
Who's the portly one now, huh?
Don't you judge me.
I just reside in comfy sweater and Jesus. And long time no see, Dylan Drinky Pants.
Yep.
So, straight to the point tonight. Let's jump right into, oh my god, video games. Since I haven't seen you in a fucking dog spell, Dylan, what have you been playing?
Call of Duty.
One.
The new one?
Yeah, Modern Warfare.
Okay.
I just started this game. Actually, I haven't even started. I just downloaded this game. What is this called? Home Behind? It's like this survival refugee kind of game. Like, it's supposed to how do I put it? Like, basically you are separated from your daughter and you're trying to find her while also escaping like your war-torn country. Basically, it's a survival resource game that seemed interesting. It's free on Steam if you have Premiere. What else have I been playing? A little bit of World of Final Fantasy, which is a delicious blend of Pokemon and Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. And of course, like my go-to lazy game, which is Madden. Now, when I get my new PC tomorrow, I'm gonna try out some ray tracing games. Like I want to play Quake 2, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Control, I think, is the big one on my list.
Yes. That's what I'm hearing is good with ray tracing. So
I'm not gonna lie, I am still honestly not entirely sure I've got my head around what the fuck ray tracing is and why I should care. Fill in that blank for me.
Right now, it's kind of hard to care because there's not a ton of games that are utilizing the technology. I mean, the list is very short. I think it's less than 10.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, the way it works, they can implement it in a couple of different ways. Like, so Metro does like global ray tracing, which is like, so if you're on the surface, basically the sun is the light and all your shadows and everything come off of that. Instead of it being like a 2D scape, it's rendering light as like a 3D globe. A really cool tech demo to check out would be the what is it? Valiant Hearts, I think.
Oh, Valiant Hearts?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, Valiant Hearts.
Okay.
The game that... Wait, no, that's not it. No. Damn, what?
That doesn't sound right. That's been around for a while.
What is that game? Hold on. I'm gonna Google this. Basically, there's a game that's Bioshock-like, and I can't remember the name of it. But the ray tracing on that is unbelievable. So basically, all ray tracing is that it's like real-time lighting. So like explosions,
Right.
reflections, all that you can see, like in reflective stuff. It's not like
It's kind of like the way I understand it. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's more like how reality is. We're seeing a light source, like the sun, for example. Everything bounces off of that, or a light. Everything is the same. It plays off of that in the world away. So in the game, it's the same way. It's not this like fixed source that they just say, or the engine's not producing it. It's just this light source that the engine is actually calculating out. So it's supposed to be more realistic, that kind of stuff, combined with some new graphics.
right. And
I
then
feel like this is something I'm going to
Atomic
file
Heart.
under I don't care.
Atomic Heart is the game I'm thinking of. Check it out. Check out the tech demo for Atomic Heart because it looks kind of amazing. Especially like, imagine if BioShock, right? The original BioShock had like realistic lighting.
Right.
How much more immersive that game would be than it already is.
I just think that we're like as primary console gamers, we're not going to care about this too much until the next gen consoles because that's when we're gonna see it launch a lot more. I think.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's breaking edge technology. There's not a ton of support for it right now, but I mean, I was getting a new PC, so
right. Why not?
Might as well just go balls deep.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I have the toy, I'm going to play with it and then forget about it.
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to forget about it. Games are being patched
to use ray tracing.
Yep. Right? Like Call of Duty just got a patch, I think, earlier this month for ray tracing. It's not going to be as perfect as the games that are designed from the ground up with it, like Atomic Heart looks like it's going to be, but it makes a difference, especially if you're a competitive player. Being able to just have that like shadow advantage on people might help. It also might not help. I don't know. Depends. Like just like PUBG, all the pro players play on ultra low settings,
I know.
so that
so lag
faster. Yeah.
Right. So it all depends, but I think it's a cool feature. I'm excited to test it out.
Okay. And Michael, I know a little bit about what you've been playing. Hit us.
I'm still playing Rad, and I'm still, as I said, that's a lot of fun. It was actually hard for me to put that down, but the new Darksiders came out, which I'm having. There's the whole fiasco with the collector's edition and all that happy garbage, which. Because again, I'm a good little consumer whore, and I'm playing this fucking game when it comes out. Even though I've got it pre-ordered collector's edition for the Switch, not for the PlayStation 4. I went and bought the Switch version just to be able to play it this weekend. And I'm actually really enjoying it so far. There's a few things they've changed some of the buttons around, because you can switch between War and Strife, and War for the most part plays like you did in the first game, but with different buttons. And certain aspects of his combat have been dumbed down a little bit because the Vantage is different. But I like being able to switch between the two characters pretty much on the fly, because they both play completely differently. So much so that they both get access to a one item that's it's like a grapple hand type thing, like a hook shot type thing. And it's actually a different button for each of them, which I've never really seen that before. But as I said, they're completely different the way they play.
I would imagine they would be in general, just because this is, if I'm not mistaken, generally a pretty sizable departure from what Darksiders has been, just genre and gameplay wise. Or am I thinking of something? Okay.
Well, because I said this one's basically, because each one of the games is some random game meets God of War, comic book, over dramatic, and the first one was Zelda, very much Zelda meets God of War. Second one was kind of the MMOs with God of War. Third one was the Dark Souls series. This one is Diablo. But as I said, like, you have the option of Strife actually uses guns, so you can actually play him as a twin stick shooter. But he's also got melee attacks, whereas War is nothing but close combat.
Right.
And I'm having difficulty because the vantage is different. Like, it's the overhead isometric view. I'm having difficulty getting the timing of his dodges down.
How are you? Are you? I have a friend that's been playing this too, and he's talking about the map. That the map is a big issue with him. Is that an issue with you at all?
It doesn't, like, when you collect the map in each stage, it just gives you the map. You have the map and it shows you where all the items are, but there's no little icon showing you where on the map you're at.
You are, right. And that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, that's kind of retarded, honestly. It's dumb.
Apparently in the actual Reddit subreddit for this, they're actually talking about this, and developers are in there talking about it. Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to patch it or what's going to happen.
What are the devs saying on it?
The dev, well, from what I'm not looking at it, but my buddy was looking at it, and he's saying that, well, they're saying, well, it does show where you are. It glows where you're at. Well, he's like, yeah, but the whole area glows. It doesn't point. He goes, and once you pick something up, well, then that is, then you know where you're at. So
sorta.
It's kind of more.
I found a few items that glitch that even though you pick up the chest, it doesn't acknowledge on the map that you picked up the chest.
Okay.
Huh.
I've only played 2 stages so far.
Right.
But, and as I said, overall, like, I'm still enjoying it, and the story has been fantastic. That's the main reason I played this game anyway.
Right.
I like Strife as a character, especially because him running around with War, who's very stoic, he's basically like a brick wall that comes at you, just doesn't stop. And, Strife is very much comedic relief. They play off each other really well because it's like a buddy comedy almost.
Right.
Okay.
They're like, there was a point where I don't even remember what random serious shit War was babbling about, and Strife stops him and says, "I really think we need to talk about you needing more demon faces on your armor," and just dumb shit like that.
That's funny.
I fucking approve.
And like the thing, one of the things I'm happiest about is so far, like, obviously there's Strife in the War. I've met Volgrim already, and I've met Samael, and they got the same voice actors for each of them so far. They've introduced one new character that kind of sounds like Wanda Sykes, but like, because that was one of the things, one of the biggest things that bothered me about the third game was Death's voice was audibly different, and I'm assuming
that was that voice actor, right? The Sissy Jones or whatever.
No, Death
wasn't that?
No, Fury. That was the first game.
That was Fury. Okay.
Death was originally voiced by Michael Wincott.
Right.
And the villain from the Crow movies. I mean, the first Crow movie, Top Dollar. But he, like I said, he played Death in the second one. But I'm assuming he didn't want to come back and do like 3 lines of dialogue for the third game. So like, he just wasn't there, and they never really explained why. But like, there was an audible difference that nibbled at me.
Right. Like, even though it's not bad, you can't get out of your head that it's just not right.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah. No, but as I said, so far I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm having mild panic attacks because, like, the collector nature in me wants to explore everything. And I keep worrying that, like, because I found one area in the very first stage that once you pass a certain point, you can't back up. You can't go back. So I'm, having tiny little panic attacks over, did I miss something? But it allows you to replay the stages as many times as you want. Yeah. Like, you can just, and there are like multiple little random missions. And like, the first stage has just a little side mission of find 10 little demon imps that are shirking their duties. And so you'll randomly find a little imp dude just kind of kicking his feet off off a ledge, just hanging out, just dumb shit like that.
So
yeah.
Here's the question: Do you think this is gonna help or hinder whether or not we actually get Darksiders 4?
Honestly, like the fact that they've been pushing it so far, I would be shocked if we don't get 4. Or not even so much a 4, like they're striving at this point just to finish the story. Because, the first game set up everything that happened, and, War found out what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, like the ending of it gave me goosebumps the first time I saw it. I was so fucking into this game. But then the second game came out and takes place parallel to it. And the third game takes place slightly before the first one. So they haven't furthered the story in any way at this point, other than this is what this character was doing. And the third one was done in a way that, what's his name? Strife. It actually kind of explains what Strife was doing at the same time. So they don't have to make a Strife-centric game, which is why I'm thinking that's what this game may be. That's why it's a prequel to all of it. Because this one actually takes place directly after the Horsemen killed off all the Nephilim, right after the war in Eden.
Okay. And Josh, what have you been playing?
I'm still slugging my way through Jedi Fallen Order. I know that I should be done with this game by now, but
what's happened here?
Okay, so like last night I played it until like 4 a.m, which is for me incredible. I played it from like 10 to 4, but I just am finding it's not even the combat. I'm just finding the game just to be a slog in some places, and it's a way of playing because it's Souls-like that I have not played like a Souls game ever, and it really is a different way to play, so it's taking me a little longer to. But once I get the combat down, I'm pretty good. I'm actually having fun with it. I just enjoying it. I'm also trying to. I totally get like Michael's like panicking kind of thing because I like to explore the map, and I'm starting to actually understand how the map works. So I'm like, oh, I can use this and see different levels, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't even gone up there. And on the bottom left-hand corner, it shows a percentage of like explored.
Right.
And so I'm like, if it's like 60%, I'm like, well, what am I missing? And there are areas that I can't get to because I don't have all the abilities, but I finally do have all the force abilities and everything. So I'm actually being able to open up all these areas that I haven't been to before. So I'm just kind of enjoying myself going through that. I picked up through the limited Facebook group that I'm on with a limited run group. I picked up Metal Slug 3 for my Vita. And so I'm actually playing that. I've been playing that for a good day and a half now, and just like kind of got lost in Metal Slug again. I love those games.
What difficulty are you playing?
Metal Slug. Yeah,
sorry.
Metal Slug 3, the limited run edition one.
What difficulty are you playing Fallen Order on?
One up from the easiest.
Okay.
So it's because I mean honestly, I cannot. To me, this is incredibly difficult game.
I think I played the second from the hardest. I started at the hardest and then I dropped down, and like I had a way more enjoyable time on that difficulty than I did on the harder difficulty.
I started right in the middle, and there's like 5 levels or whatever. I started right in the middle, and I'm like, you know what? No way. I notched it down like within 15 minutes, and I was a lot better.
I wouldn't worry too much about mission shit. Most of the stuff is like cosmetics.
Yeah, it's all it is. I'm finding that out too. Yeah.
Like halfway through, I decided I was going to stop wasting so much time exploring the fucking map just so I could get through to the end. Like the game's really fun. Yeah. Right. The game's really fun. But it's better, I think, if you just play it like story beat to story beat than like trying to explore and all that, because like the amount of time you have to like run back and forth between areas, like it just, God, I hated it. I was like, this is awful.
The one thing I do have to say about this game is the story is fantastic.
Yeah, it needs a fast travel system to be perfect. But
yeah, I really enjoy the story in it. And as a Star Wars fan, if you're a Star Wars fan at all, you would enjoy the story. And there's a mode of difficulty you can actually choose that just says story. Right. And basically the combat's super forgiving at that point. And you just kind of just like hack and slash through it. But honestly, I'm getting to that point where I might just do that just to get to the end. And if I want to go play it again, I'll just play it on I'll ramp it up a little bit and try it over. But I'm enjoying it.
Good. All right. Well, I suppose that puts the ball squarely in my corner. So this week, with no surprise here, I've found myself thoroughly sucked back into the world of Dead Cells since the Bad Seed DLC dropped. For $5, I've got 2, technically 3 biomes, though I'm not counting the boss fight biome as its own. I don't feel that should be counted. But they did introduce the dilapidated Arboretum and the Morass of the Banished, and both of them are really neat. The dilapidated Arboretum, if I've got it right, because I'm trying to keep the two straight in my head. One of them is a lot of verticality. It's a lot of sections where it's just straight vertical columns. It almost feels very NES Metroid in that respect, in terms of the layout of it, where they've got, just a couple of corridors, bridging those big vertical columns together. The other one actually literally plops you into the middle of the map and says, pick a direction, right, left, go. And so your start point is in the middle, and it just has you run off in either direction. And that one, I was actually, it did something new where the fast travel portals for the biomes also let you ping the entry point for that biome as a fast travel point. So you can get all the way to one edge, you can pick a direction, hit one edge, and then go, I want to go the other way, and it'll let you ping right back to the entry point where it forks, and you can go off the other direction right from there and cut back on a little bit of your backtracking, actually. The new boss fight, the Mamatic, reminds me a little bit of conjunctivitis from the original set of bosses. A lot of like thrusting tentacles from the bottom of the screen to kind of keep you juggling around. These ones aren't waving back and forth across the floor though. But it's like any boss, depending on your loadout and how you're rolling, it's not super difficult. It's nice to have a new boss to play around with. Much like, the first time I went into the giant, I just crushed the giant. Same thing with the Mamatic, but I did try running a build that I don't normally, and thoroughly got my ass kicked as a result. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stick with my usual build because this works for me. So, that being said, I've also spent a little bit of time tinkering around with playing on 2BC with Dead Cells, and I've made a little progress. Not anything particularly amazing. It still kicks my ass, but not as bad as it used to. So I think I'm slowly adapting into 2BC, and I'm picking up some new blueprints. I've gotten to play with the new big ability that they were flaunting for Bad Seed, which is the Mushroom Boy, and I don't know if I'm nuts about it. I like the idea and concept. It's kind of fun because you have this little, companion mushroom character that follows you around, and it hurls itself at enemies and knocks them back. And if you're if one of the new areas has a lot of spiked walls, and so it can kick those enemies back into the spike walls to kill them. But then you can also hit that skill a second time while the Mushroom Boy's out and summon him to fucking kamikaze himself. So,
how does he work? Is that a like a deployable skill that you pick up, or is he a regular weapon?
No, deployable skill.
Okay.
So, cooldown timer and all that. But yeah, it's a fun idea, but it doesn't really fit in the builds that I run. So, he's more survival. I like playing tactics. So, but no, the Bad Seed DLC has definitely been keeping me entertained, as well as coming back to it and pushing myself further on the 2BC challenge to try and fine-tune myself a little bit has been enjoyable. I've also had a lot of fun playing with the custom shit every once in a while and just, cranking it into the most absurdly perfect version of the builds that I like to run, where everything is colorless and, infinite ammo, and just, playing with it and going, yeah, I'm going to decimate everything with 0 resistance, and this amuses me. Just steamroll the game for shits and giggles. So, but yeah. Outside of that, my plan this week is to also put the messenger down as far as my main progress trek on our Let's Plays. And I'm going to be picking up and running through Hellblade on Twitch because of the guest that we're going to have joining us on March 9th. So that's one we're looking forward to, because for anybody that hasn't caught it on our Twitter, the big topic of conversation is going to be Hellblade, and a lot to do with the mental disorder issue that it portrays. So I'll leave a link to the video that caught my attention from the guest that we're having on, Sid, and I highly recommend checking it out. It's absolutely fantastic. But like I said, we'll be talking about that in depth more come March. So something I'm very much looking forward to. I know, Josh, you said you are, and
yep.
Michael, I know you said you were planning on trying to plow through Hellblade as well. So that's one to mark your calendar and look forward to. But that's kind of been it for me. It's just been a lot of Dead Cells. So I've also been playing Battle of the Will with my wallet and resisting the Prisoners Edition. Right now, the wallet is winning, going, it's not there, asshole. But that I'm hoping that changes shortly, because my will is winning, or my will is losing here. So the wallet may lose too, but God, it's pretty and I want it. So I'll have my consumer horror moment. Leave me alone. But so with all that said, here's a perfect place to say break, and welcome back to the third half of the show. This week we're going to deep dive into everybody's personal list of things that you will forever be sad about. So Michael will be thrilled.
So he'll be happy, but we're all
I'm gonna have to turn off the camera at some point, aren't
I? So, right. So this week I kind of wanted to touch on, because it rolls around and rattles around in my head every once in a while, about games we'll never get to play. There's one that always springs to mind, and it's I've talked about it on a few occasions, but for anybody that's missed it, it's probably not the one that you think. But I'm kind of curious to hear from you guys too. What's a game that you know that you'll never get to play, that just kind of earth-shatteringly breaks your fucking heart that it'll just never happen? And I think we're gonna start with Michael.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Is this,
I need to think about it for a minute. Come back.
Is this a real game or like a game that got canceled or?
Yeah, just something that never saw the light of day and never will.
Any of the canceled Legacy of Kain games.
Okay.
Like they didn't really have a whole lot of promise in and of themselves, but just to keep the fucking series going. Like I want more. Well, honestly, what I really want is them to kind of reboot it, but like again, I'd be terrified that they'd fuck that up. So, it's one of my favorite stories of all time. The only game I've ever played that came close to how much I love the Legacy of Kain series story was the first Darksiders. But like as I said, they're so tedious to play.
Yeah.
Like here's another fucking block puzzle, and one thing that always did bother me about that series though is one of my favorite minor little tidbits is in the second game with Raziel. When you go to pull or push a block, he does this animation where he stabs his claws into the block. And for some reason, I always absolutely loved the sound that it made. And they kept that sound through that one and the second Soul Reaver. And then Defiance came out and they changed the noise completely, and it pissed me off. But, like, yeah, as I said, I would love to see just something else Legacy of Kain. There was a Tomb Raider game on PS3 that they reskinned it and made it to where you could play as Raziel or as Raziel. And it had nothing to do with any of it. They literally just kind of shoehorned them in and then used audio clips from the games to sort of put together a story for it. And as I literally bought it just for that. But as I said, they haven't done anything since. And every couple years there's a new rumor that like they're going to do something with it. It's like, no, I'll believe it when I see it at this point. But
well, I mean, at this point, it sounds like it's kind of in Dennis Diak's hands since with the project he's working on.
Well, also since like Amy Hennig has moved on because she was for the most part in creative control of the series, and she obviously has been doing the Uncharted games at this point, which I know I would probably love them, but because it's not Soul Reaver, I can't bring myself to try it. So, yeah.
What would get you to play them? I'm just curious.
I don't know, honestly. Like I said, I'm sure they're interesting. It's just, it's another game that I don't have fucking time for, and because, like, generally speaking, I tend to stick to the same series that I know just because I know what I'm getting into. It takes quite a bit for me to pick up something new, especially bigger name titles. Indie games are different because they're, like quick snacks, basically. You can just kind of put it and fuck around with it and be like, that was good, But, like, Uncharted, I know that's an endeavor. Like, especially the fact that it's a series now, and there's like, what, 4 or 5 of them?
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Okay. And Josh, what's one that that you'll never get to play because it'll never see the light of day that just kind of, crushes your soul?
Because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, Star Wars 1313, because that was the demo they showed of it, basically an Uncharted Star Wars game, and I think we kind of got the spiritual successor to that with Jedi Fallen Order a little bit, but
just but 1313 was mature.
Exactly,
it was a mature rated game.
Exactly.
Was that the one that you were going to play one of the bounty hunters, the Mandalorian?
Yeah. You're going to play like the seedy underbelly of Coruscant.
That game looked amazing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're never going to get to see it. Probably.
Why did it get canceled?
It was part of Lucasfilm, and Disney bought it and just
killed it. Yeah, Disney bought Lucasfilm, and
that's when they just outsourced to EA all their games. They said, "Forget it, we're doing anything else anymore."
Well, EA hasn't done anything good with it in a while, has they?
Jedi Fallen
Order's good.
Well, is Fallen Order?
And that game was meant to fail.
Yeah, Respawn, which is an
meant
EA
to fail.
The way they allocated budgeting to that game, like they were setting it up for failure for Fallen Order, because they didn't want a single player narrative driven Star Wars game to sell.
EA needed Fallen Order to fail in order to continue to push their business model as the only thing that would work.
They want, your loot box, looter shooters that you pay a subscription to, basically, or pay
their live services bullshit.
Yeah, the service. The thing is, like, even though Fallen Order did so well, I don't know how profitable it actually is, and that's where
insanely profitable.
Well, right now, because it didn't cost that much money to make. But
they gave them a AA budget to make a AAA game.
Right, and Respawn, if you're familiar with Respawn, I mean, these are the guys that created, the core team that created Call of Duty 4, that, Titanfall. I mean, these guys know what they're doing.
Right.
But yeah, no, EA needed that to fall flat on its face so that they go, see, nobody wants this, and then it didn't. And now we're kind of waiting for the official response, which so far from them has been, silence, because the only thing they can do at this point is eat crow.
Pump more money into it.
Well, like the single player games, they're so rare now that whenever they do come out, like for instance the new God of War, that was one of the best games I've ever played.
Yeah.
Literally my only complaint about that game was there's one mechanic in it that felt like a video game mechanic. Everything else in it was completely organic, felt very fluid and just natural. And as I said, the game was nearly perfect.
Yeah,
I agree.
Oh, well, who knows? Maybe one of these days soon I might get to play it, depending on what happens.
Yep, it's looking good.
Is it? Nice.
Yeah. I'm not going to find out for a little bit, but I'm looking good.
It's not like anybody's in any rush. I was just kind of curious since he hadn't said anything. But in any case, so Dylan, what's one you'll never get to cross off the bucket list?
Man, I don't really know. I've pretty much played most of the games I was looking forward to. I had completely forgot about Star Wars 1313, though. Yeah, that game was definitely, I was hype about that. I could tell you a long list of disappointments that I was super hype about. Like Mass Effect Andromeda, Fallout 76, just soul-crushing, disappointing games. Dragon Age 2. Don't even get me fucking started on that game. I would like to see another Dragon Age game, but preferably I'd really just like to see a remake of the original. That game is one of the best games I've ever played to this day.
Again, BioWare, which is fantastic RPG machine.
Except for the last several RPGs that they've pumped out.
I
know. Anthem was a colossal fucking failure. That's another game that was a huge disappointment. I was really hype about that game.
Me too. I loved it at first, but
yeah, so did I. There just wasn't any content. It was just filler.
All icing, no cake.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of.
What about StarCraft Ghost?
Ooh.
Yeah, but I never thought that was really going to come out. It was just always maybe eventually going to come out. There were some screenshots back in the 64 days, and then it was just always pushed back and then eventually scrapped altogether, just like the StarCraft version of World of Warcraft. There's just, it was exciting, but I didn't really think that would ever come out. The Conker's Bad Fur Day game that was apparently going to be made, got canceled, was very disappointing. That's probably my most disappointing. That hurt because I love Conker's.
I'd love to see Microsoft resurrect some of these old IPs.
Yeah, they're just sitting on a gold mine. I think Conker's nowadays though would be.
It has to be reimagined. It's not like this. It can't be the same game.
Yeah,
if they
people
tried to
do
make a
something
similar concept, it would turn out like what was that, the Duke Nukem? You know,
forever.
It wouldn't work at this point.
Yeah.
I'd love it, but I'm the only one. So.
Oh, I would definitely. Me and my brother would play it all the time. You know,
Right.
like it was great. I'd love to see that. I have heard that there is a rumor going around that they're gonna remake Perfect Dark, like the
that is the rumor. Yep.
Perfect Dark, and that has me extremely excited. Yeah, I'm trying to think of games that they haven't come to fruition, but I mean, I mostly don't get my hopes up. I think
I say Scalebound is definitely recent as far as that kind of list goes.
I got another one too. It's good. Silent Hills.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
I mean, we actually got a demo of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one that was a download? That's the only way you could play it is if you find a PlayStation that still happen to have it on it.
Yeah, PT.
Yeah.
Yep.
Playable trailer.
Black and White 3.
Oh, yeah.
That's
never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
No.
Those games were so great. Yeah. Or like the Kinect, the original Kinect with Milo.
Oh God,
well, that was a tech demo. Come on, that wasn't a game.
It was promised, and
it was right up there with HoloLens.
All right, that was fucking.
HoloLens, I think, is still a real thing. Like for not for.
I've used it. It works really great for workplace stuff. It's not really
like,
consumer.
It's augmented reality stuff. It's not really for consumer at this point.
Yeah, Microsoft adjusted that real quick, and it works great for business. Like
a lot of people forget that Microsoft is a huge research and development corporation as well. You know,
it's just weird to see them trot that shit out. You know, like E3 for tech demos, and then never do anything with it in that gaming space.
I do agree. Like especially when they
why are you doing this?
Like when they did the Minecraft one.
Uh-huh.
And it was on the table.
Yeah.
I don't know if Michael's seen it. I think Michael's looking like he didn't see it. We should find some old footage. I'll find a YouTube video. It is incredible. And it's super cool. And I wish they would kind of use that. Because in my perspective, like VR and AR, they're kind of like almost hand in hand. I don't honestly think that the future might be VR. It might be more of a combo between the two.
Right.
You know, especially for like everyday practical use. Like if I want to sit on the, 50-yard line, 50-yard line at the Super Bowl, I can do it.
I got mine.
What do you got?
Half-Life 3.
Oh. There it is. It had to come up.
Never going to happen.
If it is, you're going to be colossally disappointed.
Yeah, it's going to. I think eventually it will happen, but when it does, no one's going to give a shit because it's going to be hot garbage.
Yeah.
Yep, and then everybody's going to be like, "Why did we ask for this?"
Although the VR game Half-Life Alyx looks
good.
Yeah. So I will say my number one on the list is probably not what anybody expects out of me, but it's there, and I think part of it is just because of the rapid turnaround in which it went from, oh my God, I'm so fucking excited, to like 24 hours later just crushed because it went away, was Fez 2.
Yeah.
I was ready for Fez 2.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's going to do with it, but I want to know, and I'm going to get, and then 24 hours later, gone, because...
I mean, he quit the business, right?
Yeah. He just took his money and went.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame him either.
No, I don't, and that's the thing. And again, it's a big part of why I hate the way so many members of the gaming community conduct themselves as just abhorrent, dickish, toxic assholes.
Yeah.
And think that, this is acceptable behavior. it's like your asinine bullshit cost us what something I was dearly looking forward to, to literally have it put in front of me and then yanked away 24 hours later because everyone, just as a community wants to be a dick and, can't just act like a decent human being. Like, that shit fucking hurts me. It wasn't for any technical issues or financing problems. It's literally just bad fucking behavior. Cost me the getting to have that experience that I was so looking forward to, that I was over the moon at the prospect of, and that fucking breaks my heart. That's actually the top of my list. There's a few others on there that I've railed on. The obvious one is, where the fuck is my Metroid Dread? Give me my sequel to Fusion. Which, at this point, I can't even confirm that, Dread ever actually existed. I'd like to think that it did somewhere in concept and just never came to be, but, there's newish rumors floating around that there might be a sequel to Fusion in production somewhere. But again, it's still rumors, and I'm not getting my hopes up at this point.
We're still want the Switch trilogy.
That too. Yeah,
come on.
That's the obvious one at this point, and I suspect we'll get that one.
We're gonna get it.
I'll be stunned if we don't. But the Fusion sequel, Metroid 5, is one that I've wanted for a long time, because there just hasn't been anything that's literally progressed the story in that series after Fusion for 15 years now.
Right.
We've gotten some in-between stuff, but nothing that ever says, here's what happens after. This is where it goes from here. And I refuse to believe it's for a lack of ideas. I mean, there's got to be ideas abound on, things to do with it. I'm just flummoxed at what's held it up.
They're probably just running out of ways to keep bringing Ridley back.
Oh, God. Lord knows that as good as the Ridley fight in Samus Returns was, it didn't belong there.
No.
So, but which it's so weird, because I hate feeling conflicted about it, because like I said, it was a cool fucking fight. The scene was awesome and all that shit, but story-wise, it didn't fucking belong at all. So, but the other two on the list for me, the bigger of the two, if you had caught me about 7-8 years ago, maybe longer, I probably would have ranked Left 4 Dead 3 higher up there on the list. I have to believe that it was at least being started somewhere, and just vanished when when Gabe Newell said, fuck this shit, I'm done making games because I can just print money now with no effort via Steam. But the other one that now solidly outranks Left 4 Dead 3 would honestly be Portal 3, which I imagine...
They have a real problem with 3, don't they?
They really do. I'm not convinced that Gabe Newell is allergic to that number.
Have they ever done a third anything?
No. I can't think of anything. Because there was Half-Life 2. They stopped at Half-Life 2 Episode 2.
Yeah.
Left 4 Dead 2. Portal 2. It all stops at 2.
It's genius.
Mm-hmm.
Leaves you one more.
Bad things come in threes,
Mm.
Do you guys remember the Batman Gotham by Gaslight
Oh, yes.
That was supposed to come out.
That was canceled. Same with, there's a bunch of shit that's been canceled over here. Scalebound, I know we talked about that.
Mm-hmm. Phantom Dust 2 got canceled. That was something that was in the works and got shit canned, and then as a consolation prize, we got the
Phantom Dust.
The retool with the prettied up a little bit. Which reminds me, Michael, have you gotten to have you at least downloaded it?
What do you think?
Yeah, I say no.
I have Red and I have fucking Darksiders. You're lucky I'm talking to you right now.
You should at least download it. It's free. So,
I bet my system has to actually fucking update because I turned it on.
You don't have it on auto update on it?
I fucking fine know at this point. I said I don't remember the last time I messed with it.
Oh,
I think I picked up and recharged the controllers recently in anticipation for
Ori.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think you'd really like the story in Phantom Dust, though. I do think you would enjoy the story because I will tell you when that came out, that released as a $20 budget game when it first came out on the original Xbox. And honestly, for what it was, for a $20 budget game, the story was way better than a $20 budget game, by all means. I mean, there are parts of it. Nothing inherently feels 100% low budget game. But there are some parts that, just it never full on hits that feeling of, AAA top tier quality. But nothing in there ever really feels full blown low budget either. Like it's way better than they ever charged for, and then to get it for free again, with Upresed is nothing to shake a stick at all. So, but the story is solidly anime. Parts of it remind me of Big O, which God, I fucking loved that show.
I always thought it always reminded me of Batman with robots.
Kind of Batman, Batman via Gundam. So, but I mean, if you had any appreciation for Big O and the whole amnesia story stuff, you'll really dig the story in Phantom Dust. So, but no, I remember being very excited for a sequel for Phantom Dust, and then, it just dissipated and vanished into the ether. Actually, I'll add one other to the list as a personal and also a shout out to a previous guest. I am still forever heartbroken that I will never get the end of the Advent trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Original Xbox game.
Oh.
God, that was so good.
That game deserved another 6 months of polish. It had problems.
Yeah.
But I loved the story.
A lot of original Xbox games were really good. Mm-hmm. It just didn't... It wasn't polished enough, or just didn't have the audience, so we never saw them again.
Yeah. Well, and Majesco just ended up, getting out of it altogether and going full on, crappy mobile game type deal, like Cooking Mama type shit into the Wii era. And so any chance of ever seeing that finished went out the fucking window.
It's over yet.
So, I mean, hell, Tommy even, I've told this story a few times, but God, Tommy made the joke when I asked him to sign my copy since he did the soundtrack for it. He's like, holy shit, you're the one person that bought that.
So, yeah, I know. I got it too. Yeah.
But yeah. Well, I'm going to say, unless anybody else wants to throw something in real quick, here feels like a solid place to put a pin in it for this week. Anybody else got any others they want to toss in the bonfire of remembrance?
Any new Dead Space games?
God,
I would love to see another Breath of Fire game.
Okay.
I was a huge fan of that series, and the fifth one, meh. And then I know they did another one that was a mobile only in Japan, But yeah, like as I said, I like the fact that they were all tied together, but they really weren't. Those were fantastic role-playing games.
God.
You know, in the way Capcom's going, with their kind of like resurgence, I wouldn't be surprised if we like either saw like a spiritual successor to that or some kind of reboot of that.
I'd be okay with that. Like,
you know,
when Capcom put some effort in, they actually put out relatively decent stuff.
Yeah, not only that, but recently they're doing some really fantastic stuff.
Like the new Devil May Cry was really well done.
Yeah.
The new Marvel vs. Capcom was pure shit, but
that reminds me, any new Metal Gear Solid games that aren't Survive, because that was utter dog shit.
Do you really want a new Metal Gear Solid now, knowing that Kojima's not
no.
involved?
But I'm saying, like,
you know what? I wouldn't mind
Konami to just sell it to Kojima. Just give.
Oh, they won't do it.
No.
I know they won't.
God.
But I'm saying, like, that would be the ideal. Because even 5, with its like all over the place fucking story, because he didn't get to finish it, was amazing. Which really has me thinking, like, I'm gonna buy Death Stranding as soon as it hits PC. But even if it's not really my kind of game, he's the, I don't know, dude. Kojima's like style is like no other, in video games. So
now I could see with Metal Gear, I would love to see like Metal Gear Solid kind of like prettied up and remade, because it's almost unplayable now with the kind of
original.
The way it's early polygonal game. They didn't really know the camera is all fucked up. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's totally messed up. It would be nice to see, and like I said, we might get something like that. I don't know.
I doubt it.
I don't put it past Konami, because they don't have that powerhouse of Kojima anymore. They may take some of these old games and start saying, "Hey, how can we make money on it?"
Right. Maybe. Pull them off the shelf, dust them off, and polish it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's not a bad way to go. Part of me wonders how much of that they can or can't do because Kojima's gone. I'm wondering how much of the rights he technically retains to that.
I would assume none.
I don't think anything.
My gut says no, considering the way things went down with 5.
Yeah, and 5 is a great game, but I don't necessarily agree that it's a great Metal Gear Solid game.
Right,
it's a great game, but it's not a good Metal Gear game.
It had flashes of great Metal Gear,
especially the beginning.
Yeah, but towards the end of that game, it just kind of fell apart.
It's in this open world, just whatever.
Right. I still love it though.
It's a great game.
To make a new one, but I mean, without Kojima behind them, I don't see any way they make a good. I mean, look what they did. Metal Gear Solid Survive is like the biggest piece of dog shit. Like,
never played it.
Garbage. Neither have I. I've just watched people try to like force themselves to like it because it's a Metal Gear Solid game, and I'm just like, why are you doing this? This just looks awful and not fun.
Like, you just watch people do it, and you go, "How much do you hate yourself?"
Right,
pretty much. Yeah.
It was like me with
is your life that awful?
I tried to love that game, and I was in denial for so long.
Oh well. Well, I think we'll go ahead and put a pin in it for this week. I want to say thank you to all my friends for coming and hanging out with me, Michael and Josh and Dylan for popping on, unannounced. Which don't ever hesitate to do that again. It's a nice surprise when we're not expecting you, and I get to see your goofy mug. Which reminds me, when are you coming over?
Whenever I can, when I have some fucking time.
So, fair enough. thank you to everybody that came and hung out with us this week for World 1-1 podcast. Like I said, as always, if you enjoy this, help spread the word and share us with your friends, or just tie them to a chair and stick headphones on them until they cry. Your choice. Depends
on Clockwork Orange style.
Pretty much. So, but yeah, we'll wrap up and we'll see you all next week. So, say goodnight, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Peace.